Welcome back to the channel Bong Toi Trong Dem. Before the story continues, please remember that everything you are about to hear is entirely fictional. Created for entertainment purposes only. If you enjoyed chilling stories with a strong Vietnamese spiritual atmosphere, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel Bong Toi Trong Dem so you won't miss the final developments of this story. Before we enter the final episode, let's take a moment to look back at what happened in the previous part. A group of young friends who once believed science could explain everything secretly entered an ancient riverside shrine by the Lam River to experiment with extremely low-frequency brainwaves. It was there that they accidentally awakened a vengeful spirit, a woman who had drowned in 1978 and been forgotten beneath cold layers of mud for decades. After leaving their hometown and returning to Hue, they realized they were no longer alone. Water began appearing where it shouldn't. The stench of mud seeped into every room. Whispers echoed in the dead of night. The spirit began knocking on each of them, not violently, not loudly, but slowly and patiently, like river water rising inch by inch. Lan, who had been able to see things beyond the living world since childhood, became the clearest target. The spirit called her name, wanting her to act as a guide so it could return to where it belonged. The group was forced to return to Nguyen, to face the rising Lam River and a painful truth: if the ritual was not performed correctly, someone would have to take her place. On a night of relentless rain, wet footprints appeared in front of the house. The shadow of a woman stood in the yard, calling Lan to follow her. The shaman warned them. The door had been opened the wrong way. If the ritual was incomplete, the river would keep the one it chose. And now, when the offerings are ready, when the path to the ancient shrine is buried in thick mud, when the waters of the Lam River churn in the darkness, now, we come to the final episode of this ghost hunting story. The ritual night began as heavy rain poured down. The dirt road leading to the ancient shrine was soaked with mud. Every step produced a sickening squelch, like wet flesh being crushed underfoot. Wind blew in from the Lam River, cold and rancid, carrying the smell of fresh mud mixed with rotting moss. Flashlight beams wobbled in the rain, illuminating twisted bamboo stalks that seemed to bow down. Watching every step, Lan walked in front, clutching a bundle of incense tightly, her heart pounding. She didn't need to look to know, something was walking right behind her. It didn't step, didn't make a sound, but it was there, so close that its coldness seemed to seep through her clothes. "Stay close," Min said in a low voice, forcing calm. "Don't split up." No one answered. They had grown used to silence as a way to keep themselves from panicking. When the ancient shrine emerged through the rain, the group instinctively slowed down. One corner of the tiled roof had collapsed. Moss-covered walls were stained green, and the rotting wooden door hung slightly open like a black mouth waiting to swallow them. Water dripped steadily from the roof onto the steps, mixing with rain to form thick, dark puddles. Lan stepped onto the threshold. At that exact moment, a wave of dizziness hit her, nearly knocking her to her knees. "Stop," Lan gasped. "She's here." Hung tightened his grip on the measuring device. The screen lit up, the numbers dropping so fast it made everyone's chest tighten. It's reacting really strongly." His voice cracked. "I've never seen it drop this low." Tuan stood at the back, his hands trembling as he held the offering tray. "I don't want to go in anymore," he whispered, nearly crying. This place isn't for the living." A sharp creak echoed. The shrine door shifted slightly, even though no one touched it. A gust of wind blew out from inside, icy cold and foul-smelling. Lan took a deep breath. "We have to go in," she said hoarsely but firmly. "Only after we go in can we close the door." They stepped inside. The shrine interior was pitch black. The smell of dampness was overwhelming, mixed with old incense and river water. The statue of the river goddess stood in the center, its head cracked open, its face blurred in the shadows. Rainwater dripped through the broken roof. Tick-tack, like a countdown clock. The offerings were placed before the statue. Boiled chicken, white sticky rice, sweet porridge, flowers, joss paper, everything was laid out carefully. Lan lit the incense. Her hands trembled slightly, yet the sticks burned steadily. Smoke rising straight up before dissolving into the cold, damp air. "Start," Min whispered, his eyes tense. Lan knelt down. She closed her eyes and let the familiar images flood back. Water, mud, darkness, muffled cries trapped beneath the riverbed. "Sister Wa," Lan's voice shook softly. "We've come back, we brought the offerings for you." The space trembled ever so slightly, as if someone had just sighed. The wind grew stronger. The incense sticks wavered. From the corner of the shrine, a dark trail of water began to spread, creeping slowly across the floor. "She's here," Mai whispered, clinging tightly to Tuan's hand. Outside, the river crashed harder against the bank. Boom, boom, each surge like the pounding of a massive heart. Lan opened her eyes. In the center of the shrine, right before the statue, the figure of a woman appeared more clearly than ever. Long, soaked hair covered her face. A torn old blouse clung to her body. Water streaming from her sleeves onto the ground. Each drop left behind a black smear of mud. "It's so cold," the voice rasped, dragging its words. "Why did you only come back now?" Mai burst into sobs. "We're sorry," her voice shattered. "We didn't know." The figure tilted her head. Her hair slid aside, revealing half a pale face. Eyes sunk in deep like two pits of black water. "Whether you knew or not," the voice dropped low, "my body is still lying under the mud." The ground trembled. A sharp crack echoed as a thin fissure split the shrine floor. Black water surging up through it. Hung panicked. "The water's rising too fast," he shouted. "At this rate, the shrine will flood." Min stepped forward, his voice trembling but clear. "What do you want us to do?" He swallowed hard. "Tell us." The figure turned toward Min. In that instant, Lan saw the resentment surge like a flash flood. "You summoned me," the voice grew heavy. "Then you left, and now you think you can finish the ritual so easily?" The water rose faster. Cold mud reached their ankles. Tuan stumbled backward, slipping. "I can't stand," he screamed in terror. "Something's grabbing my leg." A freezing hand burst up from the pool of water and clamped tightly around Tuan's ankle. He screamed, thrashing wildly. "Help me!" His cries shattered in the rain. Lan lunged forward, grabbing Tuan's arm and pulling with all her strength. "Let go!" Lan shouted sharply. "If you want the ritual, let us finish it." The hand beneath the water tightened its grip. Tuan was yanked face down, his face nearly plunging into the black mud. "It's too late," Hung yelled. "The water's rising too fast." Lan spun toward the shadowy figure. In that instant, she understood clearly. The spirit didn't just want offerings. It wanted to be certain that this ritual would never be abandoned again. Lan released Tuan's hand and stepped forward, standing straight in the center of the shrine, letting the icy water rise to her calves. "If you need a guide," her voice trembled but remained firm. "Then take me." The entire group froze. "Are you crazy?" Mai screamed, tears streaming down her face. The shadow stopped. The space seemed to pause for a single heartbeat. Rain, river, everything felt suddenly compressed into silence. The figure bowed her head, staring at Lan for a long moment. "You can see me," the voice softened, yet stayed cold. "Can you go down there with me?" Lan felt the chill coiled tightly around her heart. She knew that if she nodded, the river outside would open, and there would be no way back. Outside the shrine, thunder exploded, tearing the sky apart. And in that moment, Lan understood. Tonight, the ritual was not over. And the Lam River had no intention of letting go. The rain poured even harder, each drop slamming into the shrine roof like stones being thrown. Water from the Lam River surged in through cracks, carrying the rancid stench of fresh mud and decaying algae, cold enough to numb the skin. Flashlight beams wobbled, illuminating pale faces standing on the fragile boundary between life and death. Lan remained motionless in the center of the shrine. The water had risen to her knees, her clothes heavy and soaked, the cold seeping into her bones. She took a deep breath, forcing her voice not to break. "If I go," she said quietly but firmly, "you must promise to let them go." The female figure stayed silent. The water around her dark form swirled gently, as if thinking. Wet hair dripped steadily, each drop hitting the shrine floor with a soft tap, tap. "Do you believe the dead keep their promises?" the hoarse voice dragged on. "Or is it only the living who break their word?" Mai burst into sobs, her hands trembling violently. "Please," she choked, "we'll do the ritual properly. We won't run away again." Tuan was still held beneath the water, his face ghostly pale, lips quivering. I'm so cold," he gasped weakly. Lan turned to look at Tuan. In the flickering light, she saw the pitch-black hand under the water gripping his ankle, long nails digging deep into his flesh. "Let my friend go first," Lan said, her voice hardening. "Then I'll go with you." A long sigh echoed, like wind passing through the depths of the river. The hand beneath the water slowly loosened. Tuan was pulled free and collapsed into Mai's arms, gasping as if dragged up from the riverbed. "Thank you," he whispered shakily. "I thought I wasn't coming back up." The figure turned her gaze back to Lan. In her sunken eyes flickered something between resentment and exhaustion. "Light more incense." The voice sank lower. "Call my name correctly, then go." Min fumbled for the remaining incense sticks, his hands shaking so badly it took several tries to light them. Smoke rose, mixing with rain and mist, swirling into a thick haze inside the shrine. Lan knelt down, her knees touched the icy water, and her whole body shuddered. "Yes," her voice dropped. "Nguyen Thi Hua, drowned in 1978. We respectfully guide you back to where you belong." The moment the name was spoken, the ground shook violently. Black, foul water burst up from the crack. Outside, the river roared like something enormous had just awakened. The figure's legs began to dissolve, blending into the water. "Follow me," the voice echoed, growing distant. "Do not look back." Lan stood up. She took a step toward the widening stream of water in the shrine. The cold wrapped around her ankles, then her calves, like invisible ropes. "Lan, don't," Mai screamed, her voice breaking apart. "Come back, there has to be another way." Lan didn't turn around. She knew that if she did, everything would collapse. "Make sure you finish the ritual," Lan said softly. "Don't abandon it again." She took another step. The water rose to her waist. The world before her blurred, sounds fading until only the pounding of her heart remained. Suddenly, a hand grabbed hers. "You can't go," Min rasped, eyes wild with fear. "If a guide is needed, let it be me." Lan spun around. In that instant, she saw fear and determination tangled together in Min's eyes. "Let go," Lan cried urgently. "You can't see her. If you go down there, you'll die." The figure turned back, her voice colder than the river itself. "One person," the voice stretched out, "is enough." The water surged violently, yanking Lan forward. Min slipped, falling hard, his grip torn away. Lan staggered as the water climbed to her chest. "Lan!" Mai screamed in despair. Lan felt her breath quicken, her chest burning. The figure stood beside her, icy breath brushing her ear. "We're almost there," the whisper came. "Where I lie." At that moment, a sharp crack sounded behind them. Hung had activated the device, numbers flashing wildly on the screen. He shouted, nearly screaming over the rain. "The waves are shifting," he cried. Something's wrong. There's more than one. The water in front of Lan rippled violently. Beneath the black surface, other shadowy forms began to appear, faint and crowded together. The woman froze. For the first time, panic seeped into her voice. "No," she muttered. "They're waking up too." Lan's eyes widened. She understood far too late. This river had never held just one restless soul. And the summoning ritual they performed had opened the door for all of them to rise. The water inside the shrine rose so fast that no one could fully grasp what was happening. In the blink of an eye, it reached their waists, icy cold, like hundreds of invisible hands groping across their bodies. A suffocating stench filled the air, the sharp reek of fresh mud mixed with the long-rotted smell of death. A nauseating odor that made the stomach twist before anyone could even retch. Lan stood in the middle of the swirling current, her legs shaking uncontrollably. In front of her, there was no longer just a single figure. Beneath the murky water, other faces began to emerge, appearing and disappearing. Hair hanging limp, eyes rolled white, mouths stretched open as if screaming for help. Yet no sound came out. The river outside roared, merging with the heavy rain into a chaotic noise, like the collective wailing of a dead era. "No," Lan whispered, her voice trembling. "I only called one person." The woman's spirit beside her spun around. Her hair lashed wildly in the cold wind, her once blurred face now clearer, hollow eye sockets filled with panic. When the door opens, the voice rushed, broken and uneven. The one lying closest hears it first, then they all pull each other up. Mai clutched Tuan tightly as they huddled in the corner of the shrine, water rising to their chests. Mai's lips had turned purple, her teeth chattering uncontrollably. "Master," she cried hoarsely, "what do we do now?" The shaman stood unsteadily near the offering table, water swirling around his legs. His eyes were shut tight, his hand trembling but still gripping the talisman, his mouth chanting faster and faster as sweat and rain streamed down his face. "The ritual isn't finished yet," he rasped. "We can't let anyone else follow them." Min struggled to stay upright, clinging to a rotting wooden pillar, his terrified gaze fixed on Lan as the current dragged her farther toward the center. "Lan," he screamed, "come back, I'm begging you." Lan heard him, but the sound felt distant, swallowed by wind and water. A freezing hand reached up from below, clamping around her wrist, then another hand joined it, yanking her downward. "No," Lan cried, her voice breaking. I haven't finished yet." The woman's spirit lunged forward, grabbing Lan's shoulder. "If they pull you down," she said urgently, "you won't come back up." Lan felt her body being torn in two directions, one side toward the cold, merciless river, the other held by a trembling but warm grip trying to pull her back. In that instant, memories crashed over her like a breaking wave. She saw herself as a child, standing by the Lam River, its water red with silt, a long-haired woman standing beneath the surface, calling her name in an eerily gentle voice. "I've seen you for a long time." Lan choked. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" The woman fell silent, the water around her suddenly stilled for a heartbeat, as if the river itself were holding its breath. "Because I thought," the voice sank, weary, "someone would remember eventually." Lan tightened her grip. "I remember now," she said firmly. "I won't leave you behind again." She turned toward the shaman and screamed with all her strength through the rain and wind. "Do the ritual now. Read every name, don't leave anyone out." The shaman's eyes flew open, as if realization had struck him. He changed his tone, the chant dropping lower and heavier, each name spoken slowly, solemnly, echoing through the damp shrine. With every name that was called, a face beneath the water faded and sank away, as if it had never existed. Hung stared at the screen of the device, his voice barely holding together. "The frequency," he whispered, shaking. "It's dropping, one by one." The water began to recede. Not violently, but slowly, like a river reluctantly loosening its grip. The hands beneath the surface slipped away from Lan's body, leaving behind a biting cold. The woman's spirit stood before Lan, her form growing faint, her hair no longer whipping wildly but hanging still. "This is far enough." The voice softened, tinged with sadness. "I won't pull you anymore." Lan burst into tears, rain mixing with her sobs. "Go in peace," she said through choking breaths. "This time, someone walked you home." The figure nodded ever so slightly, then dissolved into incense smoke and mist, leaving behind an emptiness that felt chillingly cold. The water inside the shrine drained away completely. All that remained was fresh mud and dark stains smeared across the stone floor. The rain eased, and the sound of the Lam River returned to a low, steady murmur, as if it had never raged at all. The group collapsed onto the ground, gasping for air, no one able to speak. The silence was so heavy they could hear their own heartbeats. Min looked at Lan, fear still etched into his eyes. "It's over, right?" he asked hoarsely. Lan didn't answer right away. She stared toward the river, where the surface was slowly settling into darkness. "I'm not sure," she said quietly. "She's gone, but the river is still there." A cold gust swept through the shrine, causing the last embers of incense on the altar to flare briefly before dying out. In that moment, Lan heard it clearly, right beside her ear, a faint whisper. No longer angry, no longer in pain. "The door isn't closed yet." And out there, in the black heart of the Lam River, the surface rippled softly, as if something had just turned in the darkness. Dawn was approaching. The rain had completely stopped, leaving only a thin mist rising from the surface of the Lam River. Cold and heavy like the breath of something ancient, the old shrine lay silent after the chaos. Broken roof tiles releasing their final drops of water, pattering steadily onto the muddy ground like a countdown to something about to end. The group left the shrine quietly. No one spoke to anyone else. Mud clung to their pant legs. Their sandals weighed down, every step dragging along the remnants of a night that had not fully closed. Lan walked last. She turned back to look at the Lam River one more time. The water had receded, strangely calm, its smooth surface reflecting the pale gray sky of early morning. But Lan knew that beneath that gentle surface lay mud, bodies, and memories that had never been given names. "Let's go," Mai said hoarsely, her tired silhouette facing away. "Don't look anymore." Lan nodded slightly and walked on. Yet inside her chest, her heart still beat out of rhythm, as if someone else were walking with her. That morning, they left their hometown. No one stayed for a meal. No one said any extra goodbyes. The bus pulled away, carrying dust and a heavy silence with it. Through the fogged window, Lan watched the Lam River drift farther away, then disappear behind rows of bamboo along the road. But the stench of mud still lingered in her nose. Back in Hue, life tried to return to normal. Tuan stopped filming vlogs. His camera was shoved aside, batteries removed, as if merely looking at it made his hands shake. Every night he slept with the lights on. The floor stayed dry, yet a pair of rubber sandals was always placed beside his bed. Mai took extended leave from work. She gave no explanation, only said she was tired. But every time she washed her hands, she froze, staring at the running water until it vanished down the drain. Hung dismantled all of his measuring equipment. Computer screens went dark, cables coiled up and shoved deep into a cabinet. Yet on some nights, even with the power unplugged, the screen would flicker on for a brief moment, flashing a familiar number, then go dead again. Min changed the most. He no longer talked about science. He didn't argue, didn't debate. He avoided places near rivers, taking longer routes instead. Once, during a meeting, he suddenly stood up, his face drained of color. "Water," his voice cracked. Who turned on the water? No one had. Only Lan understood. She continued living, working, smiling, talking, but the dreams never let her go. Every night she found herself standing by the Lam River. The water rising slowly, no waves, no violence, quietly creeping over her ankles, her knees, then her chest. In those dreams, there was always a very soft voice. "I've gone," distant and faint. But not everyone gets to be seen off. One night, Lan jolted awake. The room was pitch dark. The clock read 3:17 a.m. No rain, no wind, yet cold seeped up from the floor, carrying that familiar smell of fresh mud. Lan sat up, her heart pounding. "No," she whispered, "not again." She turned on the light. The floor was dry. But beneath the bed, there was a small trail of water, stretching toward the door. Lan stood frozen. She knew the ritual was finished. The restless spirit had gone. But the river had never forgotten the way back to the homes of those who had once opened the door for it. And somewhere, very far away, a frequency so low that no one could measure it, still trembled faintly, like a cold reminder that some doors, even when closed, are never truly sealed. That night, Lan couldn't sleep anymore. She sat with her back against the headboard until morning, eyes wide open, watching the wet mark on the floor slowly dry, leaving behind a faint smear like the trace of a hand wiped across it. The muddy stench faded but never fully disappeared, lingering in the air, clinging to every breath she took. When morning came, Lan called Mai. The phone rang for a long time before someone finally answered. "You?" Mai's voice was hoarse, as if she had just finished crying. "You saw it too, didn't you?" Lan paused for a heartbeat. "Yes," she replied quietly. "It followed us back." On the other end of the line, Mai broke down in sobs. Her crying sounded muffled, as if she were covering her mouth, afraid someone might hear. "Last night, I opened the bathroom door." Mai trembled. The water was already running, even though I hadn't turned on the faucet. Lan closed her eyes. A chill crawled up her spine. "I'm coming over," she said firmly. "Don't stay alone." But Mai refused. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Don't," she said shakily. "If it wants to see someone, it'll come on its own." After hanging up, Lan called Hung. No answer. She called Min, ringing. Then silence. A heavy sense of dread pressed down on her chest, making it impossible to stay still. Lan grabbed her jacket and rushed out of the house. Morning in Hue was damp, the perfume river drifting lazily beneath a thin veil of mist. The sound of water lapping against the stone banks seemed gentle, but to Lan, it echoed exactly like the Lam River on the night of the ritual. Every time she passed a narrow canal or a drainage grate, she felt as if someone were watching her from below. Hung's rented room was locked from the outside. Lan knocked several times, but there was no response. She was about to leave when she heard a faint click from inside, like a computer powering on. "Hung," Lan called cautiously. "Open the door." No answer, but through the crack beneath the door, a pale blue light flickered steadily. Lan pushed the door open. The room was pitch dark, except for the computer screen glowing in the corner, displaying a slow, undulating waveform. The number in the corner of the screen made Lan's blood run cold. 0.0? Hung sat in front of the screen with his back turned, shoulders slumped, completely motionless. "Hung," Lan's voice trembled. "What are you doing?" Hung turned around. His eyes were sunken and bloodshot, as if he hadn't slept for days. His lips were dry and cracked, trembling slightly. "It didn't leave," he rasped, his gaze empty. "Not just one." Lan took a half-step back. "Turn it off," she urged. "We closed the door. Don't open it again." Hung smiled, a crooked, broken smile. "How can it be closed?" he whispered. "I'm just listening again." The screen suddenly flared brighter. The sound that came out wasn't electronic, it was the sound of water. Slow and murmuring, as if flowing very close by. On the screen, a shadowy figure appeared, long hair hanging down, a blurred face like something seen through muddy water. Lan screamed and grabbed the power cord, yanking it out. The screen went black, the room fell into a dead silence. Hung collapsed onto the floor, gasping for breath, cold sweat pouring from his skin. I thought, he stammered, if I listened long enough, it would stop calling. Lan knelt beside him, her hands shaking. No, she said softly. We can't be the ones to see everyone off. That afternoon, Lan managed to gather Min and Mai. The three of them sat in a small room. The door shut tight, curtains drawn closed, no fan, no air conditioner, yet a chill lingered around their feet. Min lowered his head, exhaustion heavy in his voice. I checked again, he said, that year. It wasn't just one ferry accident. There were at least 3. Many bodies were never found. Mai clenched her hands, nails digging into her skin. So that means, her voice broke, we only sent one of them off? Lan stared at the floor. In her mind echoed the words from that night. Not everyone gets to be seen off. Maybe, Lan said slowly. The door wasn't opened for just one person, but for everyone who was ever forgotten. A soft tap sounded outside the door, very faint, like a drop of water hitting tile. All 3 of them turned their heads at the same time. Another tap. Then a third. Min shot to his feet, his face drained of color. No one opened the door. He said shakily, right? No one answered. There was only the sound of water, dripping slowly, as if someone were patiently standing outside, waiting to be called by name. The room sank into a thick, suffocating silence. The 3 of them stood frozen, eyes locked on the wooden door that was slightly ajar. The tap, tap, outside was gone, but it was that very silence that sent cold crawling slowly and deliberately up their spines. As if something were standing just beyond the door, listening to every breath inside the room. Lan was the first to speak. Her voice was small and hoarse, but she forced herself to stay calm. Don't open it, she said, holding her breath. No matter what you hear, don't open it. Mai nodded frantically, tears streaming down her chin. Min swallowed hard, his fist clenched so tightly his knuckles turned white. A drop of water fell from somewhere onto the tiled floor. Not loud, no clear source, just a faint tap. Mai looked down, right at her feet. A small wet stain was spreading across the floor, slowly, like ink soaking into paper. There's no pipe, Mai whispered, shaking uncontrollably. There's nothing here. Lan closed her eyes. In that moment, she heard it clearly, the familiar sigh, light as wind brushing the river's surface at night. It's not her, Lan said softly. Sister Wa didn't come back. Min snapped his head toward Lan. Then who is it? He rasped. Who else? Lan opened her eyes. Her gaze darkened, deep and weary. Those who were never called by name. The door suddenly creaked and trembled, as if someone were leaning against it. Water seeped through the crack, forming a thin stream that crept across the tiles, numbing cold. Mai broke down, sobbing. I beg you, her voice shattered. We didn't know, we didn't mean to. Lan stepped forward and stood in front of the door. She took a deep breath, the smell of damp rot and stagnant water flooding her lungs. If you want to come in, Lan said clearly, then speak, don't pull anymore. A pause stretched long enough to steal their breath. Then, from the other side of the door, multiple voices rose at once, neither clearly male nor female, old nor young, blending into a low murmur, like water flowing over submerged stone. So cold. Forgotten. No one remembers? Lan pressed her palm against the door. The wood was freezing. I remember. Her voice trembled slightly. But I can't see everyone off. Not everyone has someone among the living to call their name. The voices fell silent. The pressure on the other side eased, like water slowly receding. But one voice separated, weak and faint. "Don't open it again." Lan nodded gently, though she knew no one could see her. "I promise." The door stopped shaking. The water at the threshold withdrew, leaving behind a long, winding damp mark on the floor, then vanished as if it had never been there. The three of them collapsed to the floor, gasping, cold sweat soaking through their backs. "It's over, right?" Min asked softly, as if afraid to break the air. Lan didn't answer immediately. She stared at the empty space before the door, where the water had just disappeared. "No," she said very quietly. "They just aren't coming in anymore." A few days later, everyone went their separate ways. Tuan moved house, staying far from rivers and water. Mai went to live with her family for a while. Min quit his job and left Hugh without telling anyone where he was going. Hung sold all his equipment and devices, never touching anything related to measurement again. Lan stayed. One afternoon, she stood on a bridge, looking down at the perfume river. The water flowed quietly, the last sunlight reflecting in long streaks of gold. Everything looked impossibly peaceful. But when the wind shifted, Lan caught a faint scent of fresh mud. She closed her eyes. In her ears, the familiar whisper returned, no resentment, no anger. "Don't call again." Lan turned and walked away, her steps quick, never looking back. Because she understood this. Science can open doors that humans believe they control. But there are doors that, once opened even a little, for the rest of your life, you will never be completely sure that behind your back, no one is truly standing there. And here, the story comes to an end. Once again, please remember that everything you have just heard is entirely fictional, created purely for entertainment and to bring chilling moments to the listener. If you found the story haunting and compelling, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel Bong Toi Trong Dem to support the channel and not miss future horror stories. See you again in the next series.